It's finals day here in Laghi, Italy, and we're all set to go with the first of our pre-finals. This is the DD2 category for the quickest of the three classes that we have racing here this weekend. The drivers are all senior, they're all aged 15 and above, and these are the two-speed variants of the 125cc Rotax Max engined karts. There are 34 drivers in each race. They've been whittled down from a huge entry, some of them having failed to qualify after the heats and the second chance heats. These are the ones that made it through, and it will be Paolo De Conte, after taking 3 wins out of 3 in the heats yesterday, the double KZ European champion, that leads them around. He'll start the race from pole position. Alongside him with 2 wins yesterday, Sean Babington starts in second place. On row 2, we've got the winner of the first round of the championship, Jordan Lennox-Lamb. He starts third. Andreas Backman from Sweden, going really well this weekend. He's been in the top 3 in all of his races so far. He'll start fourth on the grid. On row 3, we've got the current championship leader, Ben Cooper, and Michael Christensen. On row 4, it's Luca Kamali and Cristiano Mogado. Cristiano, the highest place to the Masters drivers, the 32-year-old and above drivers. On row 5, Daniel Formal from Costa Rica, who finished in the top 6 in Genk. Kevin Ludi, top 8 in the championship last year, the Swiss driver, starting 10th. On row 6, Maxi Fleischmann from Germany and French Canchar from Hungary. On row 7, Damien VM, the French driver, and Dario Santoro. Row 8, Anthony Abbas and Alex Beggi. Anthony Abbas might be one to watch here. He qualified third quickest on Friday. He missed his first heat when the kart failed to finish, but he was very quick in his other 2 races. He took 2 seconds yesterday, but with that one DNF, Anthony has to start from 15th on the grid. Watch for him to come through in the 626 kart. Likewise, Alex Beggi was quick yesterday, but had one bad heat. He starts 16th. Row 9, Massimo Assetto and Mika Laiho. Row 10, Barry Pullinger and Zenda Ruva. Row 11, Philippos Kalesis and Josh Collings. Row 12, Brian Earden and Erwin Montfort. Row 13, Maxime Grovy and Lorenzo Van Riet. Row 14, Alessio Curto and David Rotar. And joining them from the second chance heats, the last 3 rows, Marcel Schirmer and Martin Steinertz on row 15. Row 16, Cyril Apotolo and Julian Renadan. The final row 17, Martin Pierce and Ennio Sessa. And here's Matt to talk you through the start of the race.
Let's go racing then. It's DD2 time, 13 laps ahead in pre-final. Number 1 of 3 today for the classes. It's going to be Paolo De Conte on pole, blinding yesterday with 3 heat wins. The race gets underway. No, it doesn't. Not a nice formation there, so we're going to go around for one more time. Our starter wasn't happy with the gap I think Paolo De Conte had at the front, so he'll get himself back at the head now. Very quickly he does. A quick blast on the throttle there to get him ahead of Sean Babington, and you can see now that it's going to be brake and acceleration just to make sure the tyres are warmed up as much as possible. It's the first half of the lap that they get the speed into it. By the time they get to the end, they've really got to slow down, so it's going to be back into that formation. Big old field as ever in the karts when we get to pre-final and final. There's going to be out there 34, so points up for grabs for all of those. Of course, the higher you finish, the more you get, and at the end of the year, if you do have a bad result, you are allowed to drop 1 pre-final result and also 1 final. They don't have to be from the same event. Whichever 2 you do have, you can drop, but none of those can be exclusions. They have to be point scoring ones or DNFs, but you can't drop an exclusion from your results. So plenty on offer in this one, and again we're going to have to wait and see who's going to make the best of the starts. As we've mentioned so far across the course of the weekend, in the heats and for the races so far today, the inside line has been very favourable. It is possible to go right around the outside and get the lead, but you have to make a very good start as you hit that acceleration line. So we'll see if Sean Babington can do that from the outside of row 1. Row 2 then sees Jordan Lennox-Lamb, round 1 winner from Genk. He's there very nicely in 3rd place, and Andreas Backman alongside in 4th on row number 2. So again, the karts through the final corner. Let's see if we can get a start this time. Still 13 laps ahead of them. They come up to the line now, much tighter at the front as the race gets underway. The top 2 go away much further than everyone else. It's going to be the lead for Paolo De Conte. Sean Babington gets into 2nd, and then we'll have to wait and see what's happening for 3rd. Jordan Lennox-Lamb already down to 5th place, so Andreas Backman has come through. Along with him has followed Michael Christensen into 4th place, so good start from both of those. Jordan Lennox-Lamb has got his work to do then, down to 5th already, heading down the back straight for the first time. Everyone's safely through, so no dramas on the first couple of corners, but down they go in towards the hairpin. There's a move for 3rd place. Down the inside goes Michael Christensen, so a good start from the outside of row number 3. That was fantastic. He found the grip somewhere to get through, and also Jordan Lennox-Lamb has followed him through, so he goes into 4th place. That means Andreas Backman will be down to 5th, nearly 6th place there, because someone else was trying to make his way through. It could have been Luca Kamali. Don't forget Cristiano Magado's up there, thereabouts, slightly wide through the corner for Jordan Lennox-Lamb. He's is side by side across the line with Michael Christensen down towards turn number 1. They go 3 wide, near enough into the corner. And is that possibly Ben Cooper trying to come through the mix as well? Whoever it was, they've dropped back once again. I think Jordan Lennox Lamb now 6th or 7th place, Chris.
Yeah, Cristiano Mercado into the back of Ben Cooper going into turn 2 there. It's a fairly hefty hit, but Ben Cooper survived, so he's there in 5th place. Mercado's been up and down the order a bit, but Daniel Formal took a trip to the grass very briefly, going through the hairpin sections earlier on. A big battle still going on here for 3rd place. DeConto and Babington getting right away from them. Look at the gap that they've got, and look at this. They're fanning out just behind. 4th and 5th go side by side as they attempt to pass one another here. This is Christensen trying to defend his 3rd position here. Ben Cooper getting up into the mix. There are the top 2. Huge gap back of 2 or 3 seconds already. Who's going to come through in 3rd place at the end of the lap? The answer is Jordan Lennox Lamb. So Lamb gets through. Batman followed him into 4th place. 5th is Michael Christensen. Ben Cooper in 6th place, about to lose a position on the way into turn 2, is he? Yes, he is, because the number 658 machine of Daniel Formal, lovely sweet move up the inside of Ben Cooper there, going into turn 2, but Ben Cooper fights back. That's Ben coming out of the slipstream there, up the inside of Daniel Formal, and he gets the place back. So a huge scrap going on there. Cristiano Mercado coming under threat as well on the way into the turn. French Canchard's made a good start to the race. He's up to 8th position, I reckon now, and a big contact there. One of them is Morgado, and another one hits the barriers there on the Marshall post on the way down into turn 9. Morgado gathers it back up. This is going to put Martin Pierce into the lead of the Masters category, remarkably. Let's try and identify them as they come back around. DeConto still leads. Babington is in 2nd place, about 2 kart lengths back on him. Lennox Lamb is 3rd. Andreas Batman is 4th. Michael Christensen is 5th. Ben Cooper is 6th. Daniel Formal is 7th. Canchard's up to 8th, Bass is up to 9th, Maxi Fleischmann is up to 10th, and Alex Begy is in 11th place. And the ones that dropped right down the order, we know Cristiano Mercado was one of them, the distinctive blue suit. Kevin Ludi was the other one. By the way, not starting the race was one of the German drivers who failed to start the race, and that was Luca Kamali, or he went out on the first lap. So drama here, but the top 2, look at the gap they've got. 3rd and 4th have paired up as well, Matt.
Yeah, and those 2 are starting to break away as well. So 3rd and 4th on their way. That's of Jordan Lennox Lamb and a man next up, Andreas Bagman. But there's a great scrap going on for 5th place here. The man who's got to try and hold on to it is Michael Christensen, because all over the tail of him at the minute is going to be that reigning champion of Ben Cooper. So they go through turn number 2. What can Ben do? He can't find a gap through on the inside or the outside just yet. So he's got to sit there in 6th place. Further back in 7th is still Daniel Formel and Anthony Abbas. Good progress from him from the start of the race. So Anthony Abbas has come up the order from row number 8 into 8th place. So about 8 places gained for him. So he's really on the charge, trying to pick up some nice points at the minute. Ben Cooper for 6th takes a wider line through turn number 7 to try and get a move and a run on Michael Christensen. But there he goes down the inside line. He makes the move. Can he make it stick though on the exit? He runs slightly wide. He'll have the line covered then in towards turn number 10, and Ben Cooper has got through. So great job now for him to see if he can catch the 2 ahead of him. Both of those being Andreas Bagman and Jordan Lennox Lamb. Across the line they go. We've got 8 laps to go in this race as well, and as you rightly said, Chris, they're all starting to pair up now inside the top 10.
Paolo DeConto leads. The Italian is nearly half a second clear of the British driver Sean Babington, last year's runner-up in this championship. Sean needs a good result here. Had a very good pre-final in Genk, but got hit out of the final, so he needs a good weekend here to get himself right back up into the championship. Jordan Lennox Lamb is 3rd, not too far behind him is Andreas Batman, running in 4th position. 5th and 6th, then that change saw Ben Cooper moving into 5th from Michael Christensen, who is 6th. Daniel Formal and Anthony Abbas are the next through in 7th and 8th. Canchar is 9th. Fleischmann is 10th. Alex Begy is just behind in 11th place. Then Deruva's made a bit of progress in 14th position, having a tough weekend so far. The ART Grand Prix team man, last year's 5th place man in the championship, 3rd the year before that. He's had a bit of a struggle here, but he's making a bit of progress in this race. Martin Pierce leading the Masters category after that incident involving Cristiano Mercado. So the gap opening up, I think, as the leaders go on to the back straight. The main battles are just on the fringes of the top 6 here. So you've got the likes of Beji, Kalesis and VM all starting to move up the order now. Maxi Fleischmann got tumbled down the order there by about 5 places. So Maxi's dropped down to 17th position. Anthony Bass is up to 7th. Formal's up to 8th. Canchar is 9th. Up to 10th is Beji. You've got Kalesis, VM and Deruva not too far behind either. And that's that little group just going into the hairpin there, pulling off 1 or 2 moves on each other. So the top 5 5 or 6 are settled, but big battles going on further back, Matt.
Yep, and Anthony Abbas was one of those to make further progress on the previous lap, now up to 7th place. So he finds himself ahead of Daniel Formel. Those two just going down towards turn number 1. And Anthony Abbas, I think, is also catching the green and white machine on Michael Christensen just up the road. So he's going great guns at the minute. What more can he do? How further up the order can he get? Turns his way through the right-hander at turn 5 now. Try and get a good run down the back straight, but he's not quite in the toe, so he won't get there just yet. Maybe within the next couple of laps he could find himself within inside the top 6, but we'll wait and see on that equation. Still Paolo De Conto, Sean Babington, your top 2. Down towards the hairpin they head. Further back is these scraps we need to look out for. The man in 5th place there, Ben Cooper, is now right with those 2 ahead of him, so gradually he's worked his way closer and closer to Andreas Bachmann and Jordan Lennox-Lamb. The gap down to pretty much nothing now as they turn their way into the final corner. Good run through there as well, does get Ben Cooper onto the tail now of Andreas Bachmann. So Andreas nonetheless is having a good run for himself, but Ben Cooper is going even quicker and he's starting to catch now. He gets onto the tail, through turn number 3 he goes. Can he continue this run with a good sequence of corners? I think he can. He gets into the toe down the back straight. He'll try and pick his way through at the end of it as they head down in towards turn number 6. Is it going to be a jink? Not quite yet, but he's looking threatening.
Yeah, down to turn 7, Ben Cooper goes for it then at the inside of Andreas Bachmann, and he gets the place away up to 4th then for the Canadian. The multiple world champion showing his class here. Andreas Bachmann couldn't do much about that. Ben Cooper had more speed over the last couple of laps, and Andreas now will just try and follow him and pick up his own pace a little bit. So there's Paolo De Conto, the race leader. There's Sean Babington going through shot in 2nd. There in 3rd is Jordan Lennox-Lamb. Up to 4th then, as we know, is Ben Cooper. 5th position is Andreas Bachmann. We've got 4 laps to go in the race. Christensen is in 6th position still, ahead of Anthony Abbas in 7th place. So no changes other than that move from Ben Cooper in the top 10 here. The fastest lap belongs to the race leader, 48.476. He's just set the fastest lap of the race, and the gap from 1st to 2nd is now out to over a second. See Zenderuva onto the tail of Damien Vierme as he goes onto the back straight to try and get 12th place away. He doesn't do it down into turn 6, but he's winding things up here. So Zenderuva, who his woes were added to when he picked up a penalty in the final heat yesterday, which bumped him down the order. He's trying to make his way through in the all-white suit in kart 605, but De Conto controlling things here from the head of the field. Sean Babington, to remind you, remarkably broke his foot playing football, his breaking foot, his left foot, just a couple of weeks ago. He's had all sorts of laser surgery on it, and it's been quite remarkable how it's recovered, and he's been able to drive, and there he is doing a great job in 2nd place. Lennox-Lamb in 3rd. Gaps opening up from 4th to 5th. I think the battle to watch now is for 6th place because we got Anthony Abbas in the black and white suit, the orange helmet, almost now with Michael Christensen. There he is, right on the tail as they go through shot. Down into the turn 7, he'll be with him, and the battle for 6 is now the one to keep an eye on, Matt.
Yeah, the last 2 laps, Anthony Abbas has been 0.2 of a second quicker than Michael Christensen. There he goes for the move down the inside line at turn number 8. He gets it done. Fantastic move for the man then that pushes on. He's going great guns so far this weekend. He's unstoppable. If he could just get to the front, he could be a real contender for the race win. But at the minute, he finds himself in 6th place now, ahead of Michael Christensen. Goes across the line in towards turn number 1. And has he got any chance of catching the likes of Andreas Bachmann and Ben Cooper? Well, he may have a chance of catching Bachmann, not too far up the road, but give it to Bachmann as well. He really is keeping on the tail now of Ben Cooper ahead of him. So we've got good scraps going on for 4th, 5th and now 6th as Anthony Abbas starts to close down. A lap and a half to go for our race leader Paolo De Conto. Still in 2nd place for Sean Babington, on the way once again down towards the hairpin section, with that man in 3rd place still charging on. Jordan Lennox-Lamb will be, I'm sure, happy with that, and potentially, and more importantly, that's going to be another inside run if he finishes in this place for the final.
Yes, you're right, it's going to be on the inside line, isn't he, for the final. Last lap of the race then, through goes De Conto. It's been so smooth this weekend. He was hugely quick, wasn't he, in the first round at Genk, and he was battling with Jordan Lennox-Lamb for a place, for pole position for the final, and they overtook each other a number of times. He tried an over-ambitious move on Jordan. They both fell back. Jordan had to come from 13th on the grid in the end to win the final. Paolo got excluded from the meeting. You speak to him, he seems like the nicest man in the world, doesn't he? He doesn't seem like an aggressive type, but I think perhaps more of a misjudgment than a deliberate move from him back there. He's learned his lesson, I'm sure, though, and he's come back with the best possible answer here in Italy, because he's won everything so far. He was the fastest man on Friday in qualifying. He's won all 3 heats, and he is about to win the pre-final and get himself onto pole position for the final to come. Across the line he goes. Paolo Di Conto wins here in Italy. Sean Babington comes home in second. Jordan Lennox-Lamb in third. Ben Cooper with a gutsy drive through to fourth. Andreas Batman is fifth. Anthony Abbas, a star drive for the Frenchman to come through from the middle of the grid to complete the top 6. Michael Christensen is seventh. Daniel Formal in eighth. Frank Canchar made up some ground in that race as well. He comes home ninth. Damian VM in 10th position. Philippos Kalesis in 11th. Josh Collings made a place up late on to go into 12th position. Zenderuva at 13th. Brian Eden 14th. Maxi Fleischmann came back a little bit at the end of the race in 15th position. David Rotar was 16th. Alex Beji 17th. And Massimo Assetto in 18th place. The fastest lap of the race went to Paolo Di Conto with a 48.467 second lap. The best lap time for Sean Babington was a 48.595, so he was just over a tenth quicker. Doesn't sound a lot, but if you keep being a tenth of a second quicker, you're going to win the race by more than a second, and that's exactly what's happening. So he won by 1.3 seconds. It was a 13-lap race, and it all mounted up. So if he could just find a tenth of a second, Sean Babington will be able to close the gap. Of course, both of these men are trying to close the gap to those in the championship, having had their own problems in the first round. Jordan Lennox-Lamb beating Ben Cooper as well, which is important for him because he'll get one more point than Ben. Ben is the points leader in the championship with 83 points. Jonathan Tonon is second in the championship after his guest appearance in Belgium, but he's not here this weekend, so effectively Jordan is the driver second in the championship. He started the day 6 points behind behind Ben Cooper, but Jordan Lennox-Lamb has closed that gap now to 5 points to move into second place in the championship. So a really good race there from DD2, as we've come to expect, and we'll have a front row exactly the same for the final as we had for the pre-final, with Paolo Di Conto starting on pole and Sean Babington starting alongside him.